An important part of any project is learning how to manage data. As part of our Applied Geostatistics class, this tutorial will talk about the basics of data, how to manage these data, how to migrate them both in and out of ArcGIS Pro. We're looking at an example here of we've got major North Carolina cities. Previously we did some work on calculating hail density where we turned a map like this of all hail events between 1955 and 2022 and then mapped them by county, and then I changed my fields view so that I'm only showing POP 2010, population density, median age, square miles. This is the actual number of hail events, and then the hail density, which is the number of hail events for every 1,000 square miles, because I know what square miles, 1,000 square miles looks like. But if I were to move the decimal point over 3 places, it would be difficult to understand what 0.2 hail events for every 1,000 square miles for every square mile looks like, as opposed to 204 hail events for every 1,000 square miles. So I've got this tabular data right here. I might want to export this out to Excel or SPSS or SAS or R and do something a little bit more robust with this that we can do within the confines of our ArcGIS Pro. And we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that we can do this. We'll talk about the hard way first, and then we'll kind of look at the easier way next. So we see these different columns. Within the fields, we can add columns, calculate columns. The focus of this tutorial isn't for that, but I can go to these 3 dots right here, and I can go to Export. So I can export this table right here. So I can export this table, and I'll notice that I'm exporting the table as opposed to the features because it's got the table symbol right here, as opposed to me under North Carolina, data, export features or export table. So it gives me the options of both exporting the features. If I were to export out the entire feature class to something else or a subset of them. And so there's a couple of ways to do this. Now I can click export. My input table is going to be the NC counties. My export table is going to save it to my working folder. So it's under C users, hailstorms density, and I can store it in the actual geo database, but in this particular case here, I'm going to store it somewhere else. I'm going to store it in the actual folder. Okay, so I'll store it in the actual folder, and I'll just call it Tim's export. And there's a number of different formats that I can save it in. I'm a big fan of storing things in CSV files, so that stands for comma separated values. So I'm going to click save. Click save right here. And you can see over in my Windows Explorer right here, now I have a new file called timsexport.csv. This can open up nicely and neatly into Excel. And so you can see these files that this table that I've exported. You can also see it's got the required elements that I have here from the join tables that didn't appear previously, but these are always going to be kind of read-only required that I didn't include, so I can delete these if I want to. And then I can run my z-scores, my means, my medians, modes, or whatever else we're doing with there. In addition, I like the value of CSV files. They're a little bit more rudimentary than our ArcGIS Pro. In addition, these CSV files can open up in a number of different file formats where it's difficult to go between ArcGIS Pro and Excel because we've got the different sheets and the naming conventions for the sheets. It really didn't work that well with ArcMap, the previous incarnation of our GIS software. But if I really wanted to look at what a CSV file looks like, I can right mouse click. I can do open with. I can open it up in Notepad, and you can see exactly what it looks like in Notepad. And so wherever it sees a comma, it's just going to create a new field. And if I wanted to with these, I can store this as an Excel file or do whatever I want. There's a number of different file formats that I can do with this. The other option that I have is that I can go right here to copy. Okay, so I can copy these out. So say I'm doing some sort of two-tailed t-test. So I'll do a two-tailed t-test to look at what is the hail density for areas near counties, near North Carolina cities versus those counties that aren't near North Carolina City. So I can do a simple select by location. And what I'm going to look for, my input features, are going to be my counties that are within a distance of major cities. And I'm going to type in 15 statute miles. So I'm going to click apply here. And so you can see down here there's 100 counties. I'm going to click apply. And you can see there's 41 counties. So I want to look at the hail density, and I'll do this in another tutorial, but the hail density for these counties versus the other 59 counties. So I'm going to click this button down here, show selected features only. And I can go back and forth between these. Now what I have right here, I have copy selection. And so you can see what it says right there. It says copy selected rows to the clipboard. So I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to go to my Excel. I'm going to just paste those in right there. Now you notice that it doesn't have any of the information about area and perimeter and all those other things here. So I think this is a much better solution than this, than exporting out as a CSV file. Now next, I want to compare it in my two-tailed t-test. I'm going to click switch selection. Now you can see the remaining 59. Copy selection. And so now in sheet 1, I'll go to just create another sheet. Copy these over. So we've got a couple of ways here that we can copy. And you notice, just to double check, I've got the 41 versus the 59. And then now I can go and run my two-tailed t-test using my data analysis tools or whatever I'm doing here. So in summary, we've got really good ways that we can export these. And you notice these exports will also appear as standalone tables since they're not connected to points, lines, and polygons. So it's really important that we keep track of the data. We also notice that Excel has very kind of relatively limited statistical capabilities, and as we get above and beyond some of the things we do in our geostatistics class, we're going to need to take advantage of some of the more robust functions that even Excel doesn't have. But exporting to CSV files are importable in almost any software package out there.